If you say that you do something against your better judgment, this means that it was a bad idea to do it. Yeah, maybe against your better judgment, okay, I'll give you a real situation. Against my better judgment, a few years ago, I decided to have a sleepover for my son's birthday party, and they were a bit too young really for a sleepover. I thought they'd love it, but it was actually a bit of a nightmare. So against my better judgment, we decided to have a sleepover, but they were a bit too young for it. They really were. And it just meant that we were, well, they were all kind of arguing and bickering and sometimes fighting. And so, yeah, it was an error of judgment. And of course, you know, these things happen. It was a lack of judgment. Okay, if something gives credence to the idea that, or lends credence to the idea that, or adds credence to the idea that, this just means that something supports this idea with evidence. You know, it offers evidence that this idea is correct. It makes the idea more credible, more believable. Yeah, that's the idea. So you might say, it's hard constantly coming up with new examples when you're doing vocabulary, but I'll give it a go. You might say that, so what kind of idea could we be thinking about? Well, personally, I'm really into ideas about the solar system. I quite like science. And one of my favourite fringe scientists, and he's certainly a scientist, I'd say that this is fringe science just because it's on the edge of science. We talk about fringe science meaning new ideas, you know, new ideas that are pretty questionable and probably will be shown to be false, yeah, probably will be shown to be incorrect. But one of these models, I like the idea that the sun, might not, but you will probably completely disagree with me, but I like the idea that the sun is a liquid and not a gas. Yeah, it's been modelled as a gas for a long time, and I actually think that this is completely wrong. And I think there is loads of evidence out there that gives there's a lot of evidence out there that gives credence to the idea that the sun is a liquid. Firstly, spectroscopy, I think, lends credence to the idea that the sun is a liquid. Secondly, simply looking at it, I think adds credence to the idea that the sun is made of a liquid and not a gas. Okay, so that's just an example to help you with that vocabulary. There are actually lots of things that give credence to that idea, and maybe one day I'll make a video explaining why, but it's not my idea, it's somebody else's. It's just I like the idea. I find it really convincing, really, extremely easy to believe. Okay, if you give somebody the benefit of the doubt, this means that you don't really believe what they're saying, but you're going to accept what they say. You're going to give them the benefit of the doubt just to see what they say, just to allow them to say that their whole idea, to express themselves. So it's when you are cynical or when you really don't believe that somebody's idea is correct, but you give them the benefit of the doubt and you say, okay, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, explain exactly what you mean, and you know, I'll go along with you. I'll accept for the moment that what you say might be true. Yeah, so give somebody the benefit of the doubt. Now, if you assume something, this means that you take something to be true, but without much evidence, you know, without having evidence that it's definitely true. And this is why we say that assumption is the mother of all mistakes. Let's put it like that. Assumptions are the mother of all mistakes, maybe, yeah? Okay, if you deduce things, you might be Sherlock Holmes and you might be looking for the murderer, and you might deduce that the murderer must have come in through the window because the window was left open. So deductions is the noun, just like assumptions, deductions. You make a deduction just like you make an assumption. Now, if you change religion, then you convert to Catholicism. Maybe you were, I don't know, maybe you were a Muslim first, maybe you were in the religion of Islam, and then you converted to Catholicism, okay?